guys, I have got a new batch of soap that I have just been itching to make. Sometimes I have a specific recipe I want to try out. Sometimes I have a new fragrance oil I want to try out. And sometimes I just have a revelation of color and I want to try it. Or I just have an itch to try a specific color combination, and this was definitely one of those cases. So I have a blend of greens and a blend of purples. The fragrance oil is a blend from Nature's Garden, and it performed beautifully. If you are looking for a more masculine kind of scent blend, this is a blend of Green Irish, which is, I think it's a duplication of Irish Springs. It smells awfully familiar to Irish Springs to me. And then also Aqua di Gio, which is, I believe, a cologne. So yeah, those two together smell mighty fine. And I was going for some glycerin rivers. I did add quite a bit of titanium dioxide to this blend. I didn't end up getting any in the end, but I'm not unhappy with the end result. But I didn't end up getting those glycerin rivers despite my best efforts. It did not go through a super toasty gel phase. You will notice these greens. Before I poured the batter in, they looked really bright and crisp and chipper. The one in the middle particularly looks really drab now. And that is typical, I have found, for some green micas. They look really drab when they come in contact with cold process soap initially. And then with saponification, they lose that drab color and get nice and crisp and chipper again. So the white was titanium dioxide. The light green that I already blended was Let Us Entertain You. And this chipper bright green is Green Vibrance. The Green Vibrance is from Nurture Soap, and the other two I purchased from Mad Micas. You can get titanium dioxide from there, and several other colorants as well, not just micas, which is kind of fun, because I've tried out like red iron oxide and green chrome oxide, and they have a lot of different things there. If you've never ordered from Mad Micas, I would highly recommend checking out their items. I love that they're just a fun company. They're fun, and they're ethically sourced, so there's no child labor involved in their processes, which is very important to me. So I just did a little in the pot swirl here. I didn't really have anything specific. I just go back and forth and swirl it around and kind of go here, there, everywhere. The bit of batter that has the titanium dioxide, it's solidified quite a bit. And if I had taken my spatula just a minute ago and kind of stirred it more, I would have less clumps of white. It didn't turn out bad. It's just, it could have been remedied if I had switched it up and taken a moment to just stir it a little bit. But like I said, I'm not unhappy with the final result. It's just, if you don't want it to be so clumpy and you notice that one color is setting up faster than the others, you can kind of give it a little stir with your spatula to kind of prevent that color blocking look in your end product. And this is a mica called Blue Moon. And this is also from Mad Micas. It's not blue. It has kind of like a pearlescent look. And it does look more of a bluish hint in Melt and Pour soap, but in cold process, it's not. It's white. But I wanted just a really subtle kind of pencil line, a mica line, and you can barely see it in the end product, but I am glad that I did it. I know that it's there, and now you know that it's there. So we're both on the same page here. So the purple that I stirred, the bright chipper one, is Neon Purple from Nurture Soap. The middle one, it looks really drab, but give it a minute. Once I stick blend it, it will become much more chipper. That one is Heliotrope from Mad Micas, and the one I'm stirring right now is Pow Pow Purple from Mad Micas. And that is one of my favorite purples, Pow Pow Purple. It's delightful. And here I'm going to make a giant mess, but it's going to be worth it. I wanted to add a little bit of white to the purples because the green has some white in it. And I didn't want a ton of white. See that? It's like going everywhere. Yeah. I know I sped the video up, but when I was stirring pretty hard there. Like I was really getting into the stirring. Yeah. So this is an oil and mica drizzle that will be in this layer of soap with the purples. It'll add just a little bit of white to that, and you can see as I'm stick blending, the color is coming out more. It's blending. Some colors are just like that. They just don't look very great when you blend them by hand, but when you stick blend them, like titanium dioxide, I can almost never get that actually fully incorporated into my soap. Even though it's dispersed, I cannot get that dispersed or fully incorporated into my batter without stick blending. So, little hot tip. Some you just need to stick blend. And there goes my oil and mica drizzle. I wanted it to kind of be sandwiched in there so it wouldn't like all pool to the side, because sometimes it pools to the side. I don't want that. I want it really mixed in. So that neon purple and pow pow purple, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous blend. It was really inspiring to me to see those two colors, because I don't know that I've ever worked with both of those colors together. And it got me thinking about all kinds of things that I could do with it in the future. Because although this is a masculine scent blend, the coloring really is quite feminine. And I told my husband, like the scents that I used, and he's like, "Man, why did you, like, it's purple. You put glitter on it. What's the deal?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but, girls like nice masculine scents too. Like, I love masculine scents. I do. I really, really do. Much more so than fruity or floral. So I'm adding a little bit of Himalayan salt as well as some bio glitter. This one is Mermaid Trails from Man Micas. I did do a little swirl as well with a chopstick because that portion will be exposed. You will actually see that portion. The rest you will not. So I'm not swirling the other part. And I just poured Pow Pow Purple right in the middle of the loaf. So I've seen this design done and I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. You could do this with contrasting colors, so it'd be really, really striking. I've done it with red and orange. It's gorgeous. It's a really fun design. And the key is having the batter at the right consistency. If it's too watery, you can't pull it like this to the side. If it's too thick, it just clumps and you just drag it. So it has to be just the right consistency in order to manage. And you can see it on one end. One of the ends is still really, really runny, so it didn't pull quite as cleanly. It still has a nice effect. It still has a nice look, but just one of those ends is just not quite as set up as the rest right there, right where I'm pulling. It's a little bit more liquidy. And you can play around with this. I did not get this technique on my first try. I had to try it out several different times, several different loaves. And this fragrance oil performed beautifully. I had enough time to do this whole process. It didn't set up too quickly. I worked at about 90 degrees, which can be a little bit warmer for me when I'm just starting a new fragrance oil that I've never used before. I tend to go cooler just because I want to be able to have time to do a design. And I always will look up the notes, like the soaping notes. Like, does it accelerate? Does it separate? Does it have vanillin in it? All of the things. Does it discolor? And I try to work with those fragrance notes as opposed to trying to fight against the fragrance notes, because you're usually fighting a losing battle. You think you can handle it. We have these naive, optimistic ideas, but 9 times out of 10, we are fighting a losing battle. If something is going to discolor, if it has a 10% vanillin percentage, it's like, don't try to do a white design. You're going to lose. It's the nature of the beast. Some things can be worked with, others just need to be accepted. So I did just steam my soap top. It's easier to steam the whole loaf at once as opposed to the individual bars. And this did get a little bit of soda ash on there, and that is natural, that is okay. That is simply a chemical reaction of the soap coming in contact with the air. Some fragrances tend to ash more. Some recipes tend to ash more if you have a humid climate or if you have a high water amount. That is the case on the Midwest Fragrance Company. I noticed that several of their scent notes, their fragrance their soaping notes actually says is prone to ashing more than others. So I really appreciate that because then I know what I'm dealing with. Some fragrances, I want it to look ashy because it kind of lends to the design. But that steamer was just a garment steamer. I think it was $15. I got it on Amazon when I first started soaping. So you don't have to have something super expensive. Any old steamer will do the trick as long as it provides warm steam. It will give a nice glossy look. It may not take care of all of the ashing, but it will definitely help. You may need to do it several times. I really love how this turned out, honestly, even with a little bit of ash on top. The colors are gorgeous. The green and the purple together, they're so bright and chipper. That green really crisped right up. It's not that drab green anymore. It's nice and bright. And you can see the white where it kind of clumped up there. Like I said earlier, I'm not mad about it. It's just, I know that it could have been remedied if I had taken a second to stir it. But if you're ever in a case like that where one of your colors are setting up, some do. Some micas, some colorants, they just tend to set up. Neons can set up faster sometimes than others. So knowing that ahead of time, you know how to be proactive and can kind of work with it. There's my business stamp. I try to stamp that into the sides of all of my soap bars. It's just my little signature. And I gotta tell you guys, I got that stamp, I think it was about 3 years ago. And that was one of the biggest things in my soaping career. Like, I felt like I had just reached the pinnacle because I had a business stamp. There's something about having a name to your process, like it's yours. It's part of your identity, and it's so cool to have something you love so passionately and then have a name to it. And it's your name. And anytime somebody uses your bar of soap and it has your name stamped into it, it's just, I don't know, it does something deep down. So I ended up stamping the green portion, and then for the rest of them, I stamped the purple. I just liked it on the purple better. I felt like you could see it better on the purple as opposed to the green. So some of those decisions I just make mid-loaf of stamping, and there's really no right or wrong. It's just, every bar might be slightly different. But that's really the nature of handcrafted. Like, everything's going to be slightly different. Every single bar in one loaf is going to have its own little look and own little swirls that are unique. There it is, all beveled up. I love a good beveled soap. And there it is in the light of day, shining bright. I love those purples. Oh, they're so gorgeous. So if you guys try something out like this, please let me know. I have a soapers group called Soapers Haven. That's on Facebook. I'd love to have you join our group. It is growing day by day. As always, my name is Martha. I'm the owner and operator of Blue Haven Soapery. You can find my shop at bluehavensoapery.etsy.com.